Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as the Flatout Racing Network is ready to bring you the round
Stop
of
out
8.
qualifying me!
I can't help it. It's a sickness with me. This is playoff race number 3 of season 62 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. We have our round of 8 beginning here tonight. The road to the final 4. As you heard, Michael Norman alongside of me, Seth Cole. Michael
Just
got
barely
blown
made
in
it.
here by a twister, or multiple twisters apparently. But
Yep, just
Michael,
barely made it back.
you just barely made it back, and hey, I'll tell you what, we'll segue into this because it might be a twister that these drivers will be in here tonight. An automatic ticket into the Final Four if you win. If you don't win and you wreck out, you're probably going into next week in a must-win situation.
Yeah, obviously, and that's the worst part about not being able to win or point your way in. You got a lot of these drivers down there that's just trying to get into the next round, but circumstances happen, things don't always go your way, so you become a little more feisty, a little more competitive, trying to get that win to lock yourself in, Seth.
And obviously, as has been all season long, big field of race cars. 31 drivers going to take the green flag here tonight. So that means there are 23 X Factors out there that aren't battling for the championship anymore. They just want to finish out the season with a checkered flag. So those 8 remaining playoff drivers, they have to make absolutely certain that they get the best possible finish. Even if they don't win, they want the best possible finish to be above that 4th in the standings cut line. They don't want to leave points on the table because a DNF, that is a huge hole you're going to have to dig yourself out of. Now, we say this every single week. We say, tune in next week because you don't know if what we give you at the end of the previous broadcast is going to be official. The big story last week, everybody, was that the defending champion, Jeremy Jeffries, was eliminated from the playoffs. However, during the course of this week, admins go over, they review everything that happens during the race, and Bob Seminara was hit with a post-race penalty. He appealed it, the appeal was denied. Therefore, due to the post-race penalty, Bob Seminara was eliminated from the playoffs, along with Denny Carroll, Joe DeSpirito, Terry Bombard, Donnie Garrett, and Chris Emery. Jeremy Jeffries barely survives to advance into this round of 8 as you take a look at those playoff point standings heading into this race. Brian Schilling, Grant Wesley 2 points back. Chuck McClure after his win last week to lock himself into this round of 8. He's 4 back. Brian Rawson, the only multi-time winner still on the season, 6 points back. Jessica Shelton -8. Josh Metallic, who by the way is in a must-win situation tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. He is a total of 10 points back. Jeffries and Nofsker tied for 7th, so 7th and 8th, the final 2 drivers, 12 points out of the points lead. Any one of these 8, if they win here tonight, they are locked into the Final Four regardless of what happens next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. And as mentioned, Josh Metallic is in a must-win situation tonight because he told me pre-race he's going on vacation next week, won't be here, so he's going to lose out on a ton of points if he's not able to lock himself into the Final Four here this evening.
Yep, and that's going to be a tough one and one to keep an eye on for sure.
Absolutely. So the starting lineup for tonight looks as follows. Ron Hagelin gets the pole position on the random qualifying draw. Kelly Causey will start on the outside of the front row. Emmanuel Hartnett makes his Rolling Thunder Gaming debut here tonight in the Tally Challenge. He'll roll off from the 3rd position. Donnie Garrett will be 4th. Doug Hulick, who we saw get a podium finish last week at BSR, he's going to share the 3rd row with Glenn Harris. Row 4 will find Brian Lovell and Bernie Mobbs. John Godfrey and Greg Lovell, they're going to complete the top 10. Bob Dixon and Bobby Farrow, they're back in row number 6. Playoff contender Jeremy Jeffries shares row 7 with Greg Palmer. Denny Carroll, Grant Wesley, we're going to be talking about those 2 here tonight in a little bit. They're side by side, which is quite ironic, in row 8. Row 9, Jessica Shelton, playoff contender alongside of Graham McDonald. Top 20 going to be completed by Brian Schilling, another of our playoff drivers, and Joe DeSpirito. Jeff Crivello going to be back in row 12 alongside of Mark Paglia. Row 13 is where we will find Terry Bombard and Tim Nofsker. It looks like someone might have missed the grid, so we're going to get a little reset here. Josh Metallic will be back in row 14 alongside of Chuck McClure. Cy Jones and Mike Mangialardi will complete the top 30. Brian Rawson, in typical Brian Rawson fashion, going to start towards the back of the pack. That hasn't served him ill this year. He's gone to victory lane twice, back-to-back races. And then the final 2 spots will be Randy Waugh. He'll be in row.
Luigi.
There you go. I was wondering if you were there to do it. Randy Waugh going to be in the 30th position, and Bob Seminara will bring up the 31 card field here tonight.
And I never knew that ordering food for us, Seth, was going to be such a difficult task.
Well, you should talk to Carson about ordering food.
For real.
That is a little inside joke, and we are not going to spill it on live TV.
Yes, we will.
Want to give a shout out?
You know you want to.
Want to give a shout out. We understand that Wiley Coate is in the hospital, but we understand he is tuned into our broadcast here tonight. Hope you're feeling better. Wiley, hope to see you back on the track very, very soon. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. We've also got Randy Waugh in our chat, Greg Hagley, Grant Wesley there as well. He said he watched the movie Twisters in IMAX earlier today, and he called it a 10 out of 10.
Grant. Who the fuck is Grant?
Who is Grant?
Grant. Yeah, same. Honestly, I literally just got back in time for this broadcast. I watched it in IMAX as well. It was definitely a movie, that's for sure. I mean,
it was definitely a movie.
As a sequel, it was as a sequel to the original. I'd say it was like maybe a 6 out of 10. But as a movie in its own about tornadoes, I definitely would say it was a 10 out of 10.
Also, shout out Rodney Sullins in our chat. I want to be a movie critique and just go watch movies and then just put it in the newspaper. It was definitely a movie.
What is a movie critique? What is that, Zed? You think you mean a movie critic?
I said it the French way. I said it the posh way. Critique.
Critique. No.
You know, it's kind of like Krant. Anyway, now when we showed you the point stands, and we'll show it here again, of our 8 drivers that are in this next to last round of the playoffs, 6 of them have formerly been to victory lane. 2 drivers are still searching for their first victory of the season, Grant Wesley and Jessica Shelton. Now, we've talked about this at length during the course of this season, last season, the season prior. You don't have to win a race to win the championship. If you need an example, go back a few seasons when Rodney Sullins won the championship, and he got top 5s, he got top 10s, but still had a 0 in the win column. So consistency, especially with the new format they've implemented for the last 3 or so seasons with the 2-race final round, consistency can win you the championship here in the Tally Challenge. I mentioned about the fact that Denny Carroll and Grant Wesley are starting back in the same row. If you're keeping track of the bracket challenge, only one matchup tonight, and it's those 2 drivers. The winner goes on to face Bob Seminara. The winner between Bob Seminara and the winner tonight, they will go on to face the champion of the winner's side of the bracket, Joe DeSpirito, who's been sitting there for the last 4 or 5 weeks waiting to see who his opponent is going to be. That'll get settled out in the final round of the playoffs. But we finally got the reset. We're ready to go. Green flag is in the air. 66 laps in playoff race number 3.
Alec didn't get a good start on that one. Kind of held up a little bit, a couple of people on the inside line there. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get us food up here. It's become an actual process.
You could be like me. I was actually a little worried about the status of the broadcast tonight. I went a couple of hours without internet today.
Huh.
And apparently it was actually a neighborhood thing because people were coming into my dad's work saying, we don't have Spectrum internet. It's gone down.
Well, that might be because of that tornado that came by.
No, I don't think so. No, they got internet up immediately after our power came back on.
Well, but I mean, it doesn't mean that they're still probably messing with lines blocks
Would that
away,
actually still affect that kind of stuff?
Depending on where your main source of the internet comes from. Like, not just through the lines, but
we don't get tornadoes here very often. That was a super rare occurrence because we're right in a valley. So when we get like a warning, usually there's nothing.
Listen,
we'll get storms. We don't get a tornado.
Anytime, anywhere.
I just called it a stornado.
A stornado.
I'm not sure what that is.
I love how we're just on the topics of tornadoes this whole time.
I think it's somebody's fault.
Well, listen, okay? I'm a fan of the movie Twister, so I obviously
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying you're to blame for the conversation direction. That's all.
I mean, not really.
Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. Kelly Causey out in front. Doug Hewlick now behind him. They were able to utilize that outside line, and we got a wreck! Oh, did they? Holy cow! Nope, they didn't save it. Oh, I thought Grant was going to save that through the tri-oval, but he's not. That's going to be a big pile up across the start-finish line. Caution will wave for the
It's not
first
too big,
time.
and I don't think a lot of cars have a lot of damage on
No,
them,
I
to be
don't think
honest.
so either. But I literally thought he was gonna catch that
Hey,
thing.
Grant wanted to be a tornado.
Ooh. There might have been a strong crosswind across the tri-oval there. Frozen Field, Kelly Causey will lead us back here to the yellow flag to pick up the rusty little tribute pace car. Oh, I mean, there were like 3 saves right there for Grandpa. Finally, that one slide where he got into Chuck McClure, that was the one that started the wreck. And they almost looked like they were 4 wide coming through the tri-oval. Causey will now cross the line, and we can go back and take a look at what exactly happened. But that is a playoff contender. Granted, to your point, doesn't look like really any damage sustained badly for either Grant Wesley or Chuck McClure. Let's see what exactly goes down here. And Greg Palmer might have gotten a bump from Grant in the tri-oval. Got out of shape. Grant goes around. That's a pretty good shot right there from Mike Mangialardi. There's Cy Jones. Little contact from Mark Paglia. Spins him around. Let's check on the 17. I think Chuck McClure kept going.
Did you?
Yes, he does.
As you're going through this, looking at Grant wanting to be a tornado here. Did you happen to see the thing I tagged you in earlier today?
I did.
On social media.
Yes.
And how did that make you feel?
Like a pirate?
Oh, he almost had it right there. Oh, well, to be fair, the 88 did hit the wall, outside wall pretty hard, so.
Yeah, well.
Sad pirate noises.
It's hard to tell if he really did hit it hard. I mean, with the forward motion, he might have kind of like slid across the wall with the front end of his car. We talk about it all the time. These Aero 88 cars are so deceptive. You really can't tell until after they are completely up to speed whether or not they're going to be off the pace or not. Really, the only telltale sign is if the back end is completely crunched in or if the hood is in a V shape covering over the windshield. Other than that, it's a big question mark. We had a number of drivers hit pit road, including race leader Kelly Causey. Doug Hewlett going to stay out, and I might be wrong, but I think there's some damage on the back end of the 043 of Brian Lovell. The back bumper looks a little crinkled in the middle there. Might have been from a stack up of drivers checking up for the incident in the back straightaway. Oh yeah, that back end is definitely pushed in. That is V'd. So somewhere somebody has front end damage. So our first caution of the evening here. And of course, last week was an elimination race where we saw green flag racing the entirety of the event. So far, we've had 2 for 2, where playoff drivers have won the playoff races. Tim Nofsker winning the first race when we were here a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was 3 weeks ago because of the 4th of July holiday off week. He won playoff race number 1, did Tim Nofsker. And then last week, we saw Chuck McClure pick up the win in playoff race number 2. Obviously, the odds have diminished in the ratio of playoff drivers to non-playoff drivers, but playoff drivers always still seem to be able to get themselves to the front and win these playoff races, so we'll see if they can go 3 for 3 as Hewlett will stay out. Lovell, Graham McDonald will come to pit road. Looks like Doug will be the one to get us back under green here in just a few moments. Oh, well, we got the opportunity here under caution. Want to remind everybody that if you're not doing anything Saturday night, tune in to Flatout Racing Network. We're going to be bringing you up to 4 hours of coverage of the first of 8 Talladega Nights Mega Team events. 8 heat races, 5% in length, and then a big finale at Talladega Superspeedway. Team points accumulated. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's teams of 6 drivers. It might be teams of 8. They'll be running in individual races in those heat races. They'll all race in the main event. Should be a good one.
You also know that you're an individual.
I think there's isn't there a song? You make me feel so young, happy individual. Something like that.
I don't know that song.
You know, did you ever watch Elf?
Nope. Well,
Okay.
yes, but I don't remember it.
Do you remember the scene where he goes on the date
Nope.
with Josie?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that ended that conversation real quick. Thank you for that.
Nothing like an awkward conversation to start a broadcast.
And on the flip side, nothing like a broadcast to start an awkward conversation.
Well, I mean, we are under caution, so. I
Doesn't
think
look
our
like-
food's almost here, Seth.
Ooh. What'd you order us?
Taco Bell.
Never had.
You
There's
took me to one.
there's a
and you had the
conversation starter. I've
opportunity.
taken you to 3 Taco Bells.
You've taken them to me, but you've never. You
I've
never
taken
actually-
them to you. No.
Yes.
I've
you've
taken you to
me.
them.
Shut up. We're having a bad day, okay?
Shows up the B&B. Michael, I brought you the restaurant of Taco Bell. It's right outside the
Right
door.
outside. Walks outside. Oh my God! It's Taco Bell.
You get a Taco Bell.
It's just some man named Taco Bell.
Taco Bella.
Hi, what's your name? Taco. What's your last name? Bell. Hello, Bell.
Hello, Bell.
What is wrong with us?
But no, actually,
Am I actually onto something? No.
no, but actually, I've never been, or I can't say this. I can't say I've never been to a Taco Bell because, as we just established, I've taken you to Taco Bells before, but I've never eaten at Taco Bell. I actually, for the very first time, actually just ate at Arby's a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
I had never been to an Arby's, and went for the first time. Went there for my dad's birthday. It's okay. I'm not 100% certain if it's a place that I would go to on the regular. Like, if I'm in a pinch to try and go somewhere.
If I'm craving mozzarella sticks, is usually when I'll go to Arby's.
I haven't had mozzarella sticks. I had, what did I even get of theirs?
Their chicken sandwich is good.
I think that's what
to
it
be
was.
fair.
It was
their buffalo chicken sandwich and their regular chicken sandwich.
I had
also
the
good.
bacon chicken sandwich. And I'm not certain, is it honey Dijon or something like that
know.
that they've got on there?
I'm not sure.
I couldn't make out.
I don't have that.
It tasted like Dijon like honey mustard, but it had a kick to it. So I think it's like a honey Dijon mustard.
Yeah, it might have been. Anyways, our food's here, so I will step away and grab it.
Okay. And the lights are out atop the pace car, which means we're going back green flag racing. Doug Hewlick and Bernie Mobbs going to be the front row. Bob Dixon, Denny Carroll in row 2. Jeff Crivello in row 3. Those 5 did not pit under this caution period. Kelly Causey is the first one that did pit. He'll restart on the outside of row 3 in 6th. John Godfrey, Glenn Harris, Bobby Farrell, Jessica Shelton going to be the top 10 here for this upcoming restart. All 31 cars that started this race still running, still on the lead lap. Jury is out whether they are up to speed or not. We'll find that out here when they get up to full song. It'll take them about a lap and a half, 2 laps to do so. As at a painstakingly slow 70 miles per hour, Doug Hewlick brings the field through the tri-oval, and the flagman will get us back underway.
Right as food shows up.
Nope, now we gotta wait till the next caution to eat.
Not too bad.
Oh, we got a spinner in the back! That was the 10, I think, of Terry Bombard.
Is the caution out?
I don't think so.
Darn it, I have to wait.
Michael says as he sneaks a taco real quickly.
Is the caution out? No, too bad. Where the heck? Okay, I was gonna say, where the heck is the main course, and why does this feel cold?
Terry Bombard's been able to get his car going again. Spin down below the yellow line, so it did not bring out the yellow.
You didn't
More
bring
than
out the
likely some
yellow.
kind of a restart wreck. We'll keep an eye towards the back of the field, see if anybody comes down pit road. A lot of times when there's a wreck like that doesn't bring out a yellow, somebody has to claim it and do a pass-through. And I don't think anybody is doing that as of yet. We do have a couple of drivers back here that appear to be maybe losing the draft in the early going. Mark Pagley in the 28, Bob Seminara in the 712, and Greg Palmer in the 22. I don't know if they actually are damaged or if that stack up at the back forced them to have to check up and they weren't able to stay in touch with the lead group.
Well, I'm going to go back and look.
Pagley, I think, has caught back up, but Seminara is still trying to get a whiff of the draft, and Greg Palmer, I don't think he's going to be able to catch back up at all.
So something happened to Terry Bombard. He did not get going. I don't know if maybe he missed a shift or something, but he was getting chain bumped from behind and then eventually got spun. So I don't necessarily think that'd be on anybody other than maybe the 10 himself.
Terry Bombard, who was unfortunately one of several eliminated from the playoffs last week. Some big names eliminated from the playoffs. Bob Seminara, as we mentioned, former champion, multi-time champion. Joe DeSpirito, former multi-time champion. Terry Bombard, who was having a great season. Denny Carroll as well, and I believe it was his first full-time season. As right now he's battling for second with Jeff Crivello. Donnie Garrett, who's been up in the playoffs numerous times, was in the Final Four, I want to say, back in... Oh, I'm trying to remember which season it was. I think it was back in the mid-season 50s or something like that. And then Chris Emery, not certain what's going on with Chris Emery. Emery got that early victory, that early lock into the playoffs, and we haven't seen him for quite a number of weeks.
Who?
Chris Emery.
Oh,
I'm wondering if maybe like a work schedule or something.
Isn't he the 000?
Yeah.
Huh, I remember.
I'm wondering if maybe like a work schedule or something, because he missed both races of the first round. 3-wide move. We mentioned about Josh Metallic. He's in a must-win situation here tonight. And he's got some friends up there helping him. Tim Nofsker in the 088. Brian Schilling in the 4. We saw Schilling push Chuck McClure to a victory last week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Donnie Garrett is up there. The aforementioned McClure behind them also. As Jeff Crivello, Jessica Shelton in the proverbial sucker hole in the middle with no help. They're starting to go backwards. Joe DeSpirito trying to make a move here with Jeremy Jeffries. Spirito the outside of Greg Lovell. That is for the 8th position. Doesn't look like they're going anywhere right now.
Never burp, or not burp, but never like drink soda and cough at the same time. Or hiccup, sorry, it's hiccup. Because that hurt.
Wouldn't that make soda come out of your nose? Or is that, or that's sneezing with drinking?
That would be sneezing with drinking, I'm pretty sure.
John Godfrey with a move up there to the outside behind Kelly Causey, who was trying to make a move. And he's now drifted back a couple of spots. 3 wide for around the 5th, 6th position here. Looks like Seminara's been able to catch back up to the lead group, but Greg Palmer did not. So he and Terry Bombard currently running by themselves, hoping that trouble breaks out up here to be able to get a caution, have another opportunity at battling up in this lead pack. You saw Greg Lovell make a move down there from middle to bottom behind the black and neon yellow or neon green or neon yellow green, depending on what side of the color spectrum you're on.
It's
24 of Joe DeSpirito.
It's highlighter.
Highlighter.
Yellow.
You know, I like that description better. The highlighter, but is it highlighter green, highlighter yellow, or highlighter yellow green?
Or is it just Carson throws the highlighter?
It's just Carson color.
I mean, that's still highlighter. I think that's like highlighter yellow.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm looking at it through the stream because obviously I don't have that scheme. But
Bernie Mobb so far has led the most laps. 6 circuits out in front. If he can keep Denny Carroll and company behind, he'll lead his 7th, this time by. Bernie Mobb's coming into this race 16th in points. Was unable to make his way into the playoffs this season, but looking to end on a high note. And I usually say this when we end up getting to an elimination race. The drivers that get eliminated now, they're not battling for points. They're not battling for the championship. They're just out there to win. I feel that makes them a little bit more dangerous because now it's kind of a go for broke, bring home the trophy. The steering wheel as Bobby Farrell is going to hit the inside wall, and he's coming back up the track. He'll get it refired here. There is another. Oh, boy. Greg Palmer is crossing the start-finish line. If Farrell can get it going before the 22 enters the scene, we should stay green. And it looks like he is rolling. We'll stay on him here just to see when the 22 catches.
He's good. He's good.
Is he good to go? All right, man. Look at the left side damage on that car. Okay, so that car took a wallop.
Look at the lead. We have a change for the lead.
And that's Josh Metallic out in front in the gray Ghost.
Come on, Fox. Get your camera angles right.
Man, I wish we were NBC. I'd love to have like the split screen where they show one thing and then show the battle for the lead. I do remember actually a broadcast company for NR that actually did have split screens. And if I remember correctly, I think that was DRTV back in the day.
I would think that to do that, you would just need to have two accounts for NR into the same room.
I think
unlike a two-screen computer.
I think that's what. Well, actually, it was either a two-screen computer or it was two different computers. But to your point, on two accounts in the server. I think I might be wrong, but I think that's what it was.
Are you wrong?
No.
Are you?
Well, am I wrong? I could be. Could very well be.
That could be.
The odds, the percentage is more in favor of me being wrong than being right. Terry Bombard now. Things going to go from bad to worse after that spin out on the restart. Now the field has reeled him in. They're going to put him a lap down. He'll be the only car one lap down right now, so he would be in position for a free pass. Also bear in mind that we are now at lap 17. We know that the furthest drivers can usually go on a fuel run is about 20 laps, and we had 5 drivers who did not come to pit road the entirety of that first caution period. So they're probably going to have to come to pit lane in the next 2 or 3 laps. They would have been able to save a little bit of fuel, maybe a lap or so, under that caution period, but pretty soon I think you're going to see Bernie Mobbs, Doug Kulik, Bob Dixon, as well as Jeff Crivello and Denny Carroll have to dive onto pit lane. The rest of the field will then have to pit probably about 3 or 4 laps after that.
And you see
you see the 31 already down the bottom of the track. Actually, the 4 cars lined up right there are all going to have to pit soon, so they've already made plans for that. Gotten themselves down on the inside line for that easier access onto pit road. Jeff Crivello's also down the inside line in the 36. Keep an eye out for when the notification will come through of those 5 drivers having to hit pit lane. Probably going to be the next time around, I would assume.
It's very possible.
Metallic, Nofsker, Schilling, McClure, and then how about Brian Rawson? Didn't take him long to get up here to the front. Started all the way back in the 29th position. That's been a typical thing for him. He will purposely leave the server before the random qualifying draw takes place to garner a spot at the rear of the field. And this season it has worked out to his benefit. 2 trips to victory lane. Made it into the playoffs and advanced into this round of 8, and it only took him probably about 15 laps to get up into the top 5.
Not bad.
And Jeremy Jeffries there, the defending champion, won the season opener to all but solidify himself a spot in the playoffs. Dodged a bullet last week to advance into this round of 8. New opportunity here to be able to defend his title right now, running in P6. Kelly Causey right behind him. Jeremy Jeffrey's not going to make the move down to the bottom on Brian Rawson. And I think this time by we got the hands out the window. I think Bernie Mobbs and company are going to be coming to pit road this time.
2341 I see are the only one. Up there it is. Yep, there's the rest of them.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on them as they'll hit pit lane.
Will we keep an eye on them, or will we fuck?
We will keep 2 eyes on them. Actually, between the 2 of us, we'll keep 4 eyes on them.
Well, I wear glasses.
And?
So that's 6 eyes.
Those are glass eyes. We don't count those. I'm counting real eyes. Ooh, Jeff Crivello flying into pit road. If he got it down to pit road speed, he picked up about 2 or 3 spots right there. Very aggressive with the hot pit, but those 5 will make it onto pit lane.
Guess we'll find out. You have the statistics, so.
880 of Greg Lovell back here. He's lost the draft.
Ow! I just hurt myself.
I kind of figured by the ow.
Pardon me while I scream into nothing.
Commentator's booth can be a dangerous place, folks. Greg Palmer and Bobby Farrell, they're about to be reeled in by the leaders, which is bad news for Terry Bombard, because now there's going to be 3 cars battling for the 2 available Lucky Dog positions. And I'm not exactly sure what kind of an advantage the drivers that pit had over the drivers that didn't pit. You see them now merging onto the racetrack there in turns 1 and 2. But I think it's safe to assume we went back green on lap 7. So these drivers, they're going to have to come to pit road at least within the next 5 laps. We know that much. Just a matter of when in that window. As they're slicing and dicing their way through traffic that just came off of pit lane. Doug Kulik in the 23. They'll have Jeff Crivello and Denny Carroll up ahead, as well as the 880 of Greg Lovell, who I'm still not 100% certain how he is off the pace. They'll make quick work of those cars. Ooh, this is not going to be good. This is going to be a 4-wide situation through 1 and 2. Shelton, Kelly Causey, Grant Wesley trying to make a second lane work. Oh, and Grant's going to get spun off the nose of McDonald. No caution. The spin took place down below the apron.
That might just end the 88 tonight.
I don't think he hit anything, but...
He might. I'm going to go back and look and see.
Graham McDonald, I think McDonald's coming to pit road, too. They were all trying to squeeze their way
he
by.
Hit the inside wall, but not very hard.
Oh, did he actually make contact with the wall?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a harmless spin.
But it wasn't very hard.
Boy, Grant's 2 for 2 in incidents tonight. Had that contact with Greg Palmer through the tri-oval. Almost saved it, but contact further with Chuck McClure. Spun him around for our only caution up to this point. And now the contact between himself and Graham McDonald. And I believe the 33 has hit pit road. No, the 88's on pit road. The 043, the 33 is not yet hit pit road. Well, depend on who the blame is placed on for that incident. As I think Metallic's coming in. Yes, he is. Jessica Shelton, Kelly Causey, Emmanuel Hartnett, Randy Waugh. Ooh, man. Bob Seminara, Joe DeSpirito, Greg Palmer, Glenn Harris, John Godfrey, Ron Hagelin, all on pit road this lap.
I love how his name is Manny Hartnett.
I know. So, funny story on that. I was actually helping him to set up all the R11 Marina and stuff, and he apparently had an account prior to reinstalling it and everything, and that's what he had for his account name, so... His name is Emmanuel Hartnett. You'll see it popping up on the ticker as Manny Hartnett. Here comes some more drivers to pit road, led by Nofsker, Schilling, Chuck McClure, Greg Lovell. Ooh. Gonna hit the wall, but he very nearly took out Brian Rawson. A couple of drivers have been super aggressive trying to get onto pit lane. And somehow the 21 did not get a penalty. Man, maybe one of the most aggressive drivers onto pit road on this cycle of pit stops. It gained him a lot of track position, and he somehow got it woed up to the 55-mile-per-hour pit road speed. It looks like Shelton may cycle out to the race lead here. She'll swing around the former leader before the pit stops began, Josh Metallic. Randy Waugh would cycle into second. Joe DeSpirito third. Kelly Causey fourth. And Emmanuel Hartnett in the fifth position. Emmanuel making his RTG Tally Challenge debut here tonight. He made his overall RTG debut last night in the Lightning Truck Series, where he finished fourth at Mid-Ohio.
Let's just kind of hold off. As you see, I don't think they're going to cycle around as the lead.
Well, they're going to have the momentum. 4 cars there that Shelton's going to try and bypass. Jeremy Jeffries will be the first. Then Brian Rawson. Then Schilling, McClure, and Nofsker.
Yeah, but by now, they should be up to speed.
One driver has been hit by the speeding police. It's the 7-11 of John Godfrey. So he'll have to come back to pit road.
John Gilbert Godfrey.
John Gilbert Godfrey. Bernie Mobb's going to go a lap down. Oh, somebody else got hit by the speeding police. It was the 77 of Donnie Garrett. So he'll have to do a pass-through down pit road as well. And both of those drivers were running around the 19th through 25th position, running that far back after a cycle of pit stops. I'd be very surprised if they don't lose a lap. Terry Bombard actually just came down pit road, and he's taken the car to the garage area, so he'll be the first retiree of the night. Terry involved in that restart wreck back on lap 7, didn't bring out a caution, and he's been running a lap down under green flag for the last 10 laps or so, and he's decided to call it an early night, it looks like. Oh, you're right, Michael. Shelton and company didn't get the race lead.
What was that? I'm right? Thank you.
That's one. Nofsker, McClure, Schilling were able to get nose to tail and keep that outside line at bay for the time being, but Shelton alongside of Schilling for third place. They'll try and get that run on the front straightaway. She'll now pull up to the right rear quarter panel of Chuck McClure for second. Check in on the 77 of Donnie Garrett. Yep, he is now serving his pass-through for the black flag. I believe John Godfrey has already served his. There he is. Grant Wesley still running right now in the 25th position. Last car on the lead lap and only about 16 seconds ahead of this battle for the race lead, which now will go to the 9 of Jessica Shelton. 5 drivers currently a lap down after the pit stop cycle. Bernie Mobbs, Greg Palmer, Mike Mangialardi, Bobby Farrell, and Greg Lovell. Looks like John Godfrey and Donnie Garrett both were able to stay on the lead lap.
Here comes.
Serving their pass-through.
Now Jess gets to the lead.
Yep. And now we only have a 10, I believe? No. 11 car pack up here at the front. Got a couple of lap machines intermingled there as well. Bernie Mobbs in the 31, Greg Palmer in the 22. So 13 cars in total, but only 11 of them currently on the lead lap. Then we got a second group back here being led by Denny Carroll. Right now, with the hardship that Grant Wesley has had so far tonight, he looks like he'd be in line to move on to face Bob Seminara in the next round of the bracket challenge.
You're a bracket challenge.
You nailed that one.
Yep, sure did.
Jeff Crivello, Doug Kulik, Ron Hagelin, Mark Paglia, Glenn Harris, Mike Mangialardi in this pack. Mangialardi a lap down. Brian Lovell and Cy Jones right now in 19th and 20th. Bob Dixon right now in the 21st position. Graham McDonald in 22nd. They've got the lap car of Greg Lovell in between the two of them. Lap car Bobby Farrell. There is 23rd place Donnie Garrett. 24th place Grant Wesley. And right behind him is 25th place John Godfrey. But you heard those engines there in the background when we were focused on these two through the trioval. They cross the line now. Here's the leaders, probably about maybe 4 or 5 seconds behind them. And they've gotten themselves single-filed out, producing the best straight line speed that you can possibly get. So they are going to reel in those three very quick.
I don't know, Seth. It bumped up a little bit.
What did?
The distance. It was at 3 point, I think it was like 6. Now it's at 3.8.
Oh, you're talking about first group to second group.
Correct.
Okay. I was talking
or
leaders to the
second group to the leader.
Okay, I was talking leaders to the cars on the tail end of the lead lap that they're coming up on here.
Well, maybe you should start talking about the things I'm talking about.
You know, that's you right.
Halfway. Yep, now it's up to 4.2 seconds, so the second group is losing, probably because of these lap cars.
Might have gotten a little bit of a toe off of those 3 cars, perhaps. And now we're going to add more drivers into the mix for the battle for the free pass positions. The 2 cars, 1 lap down when a caution flies, get the lucky dogs. Everybody else either has to hope to maybe take a wave around or rely on future cautions to get the lucky dogs. And some really strong cars being put lap down right there. Garrett, Wesley, and John Godfrey. And think about this. We talked about it right at the top of the show, Michael, for those Elite 8 in the battle for the championship still. You don't want a bad performance tonight forcing you to head into Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week in a must-win situation. Grant Wesley, right now, I feel is in that kind of a situation. A lap down in the 24th spot. The other 7 competitors, I think the worst one running at the moment is Brian Schilling, and he's in 12th.
Yep, got to keep an eye on it.
A little side to side there. Emmanuel Harton in the 5th position. A little shimmy right behind him, too, with Bob Seminara, 5th and 6th. These drivers right now, I think what their goal is, staying single file, trying to gap themselves to that second group, increase the odds of them being able to go to victory lane. It's a lot easier to be able to battle against 11 other cars than it is 22 other cars. So if you can kind of split the odds in half and increase your chances, I think that's what these drivers are all thinking right now. They've just added on more cars with Garrett, Wesley, and Godfrey latching onto the tail end. So now, I think it's about maybe a 15, 16 car train right here. And that second group, I think, only has like 7 or 8 cars. So these top 12 lead lap cars are definitely opening up a lot of daylight and might be able to settle it amongst themselves if we continue to trend green. Across the halfway threshold, we know that there's at least 1 more pit stop these drivers are going to have to make. And I think that final pit stop is going to be really, really close to the number they're going to need to be able to make it the rest of the way. Because usually if we run a race completely green, usually they end up finding themselves on the final pit stop with about 6 or 7 to go. We went back green on our only restart of the night on lap 7. So mathematically, they should be able to make it the rest of the way on this upcoming final pit stop, which I think is going to be somewhere around lap 50 or so. Right now, Josh Metallic has the most laps led. Jessica Shelton trying to take that most laps led bonus point. She's led 8 laps, 7 laps out in front by Bernie Mobbs, 5 laps led by Tim Nofsker, And
Want
then
to be
2 laps
careful
led
too,
by
'cause
Kelly Causey and 1 lap led by Emmanuel Hartnett, 4 laps led by Doug Hewlick. And those are the only drivers that have led laps so far.
need to be careful because being the leader, you're using a lot of fuel.
Yep, for sure. Shelton, I believe, was a part of the first big group that came to pit road. We had a group of 5 that came to pit road first to begin the cycle. They had not come to pit road the first caution. But then we saw Josh Metallic, the then leader, dive onto pit lane. And I'm pretty sure Shelton was on pit road that same lap with him. So Shelton would be one of the earlier ones to dive onto pit road this time. As you saw that little slide there from Randy Waugh on the back straightaway. In the second position, he was able to tuck back in line. I don't know if he was trying to make a move or if the thing just got loose on him off the corner. Radios are lighting up. I wonder if maybe some of those drivers that are on the alternate strategy might be coming back to pit
Terry
road.
Bombard left, so I think he's done for the night.
Trying to think who some of those drivers are that we're looking for. Maybe Bernie Mobbs in the 31, I think, was one of those 5 drivers on the alternate strategy.
I see the 23 and the 92.
Okay, so we know the 23 of Doug Hewlick was on the alternate
There's
strategy.
The 41.
41 was also on the alternate strategy.
There is the 31.
All right, so yep, those 5
and
drivers.
The 36.
Coming to pit road, Bernie Mobbs, who was in that lead pack, battling for a free pass position, going to come down with a huge gap. Crivello, Denny Carroll, and Doug Hewlick all coming in. 15th, 16th, 17th place right there. Which means it won't be that long, maybe another 5 laps or so, till we see these drivers on pit lane. And yeah, that's going to be right on the mark. I mean, I think if you're going to be able to make it the rest of the way, you need 5 laps. You got to make it at least a lap 45, 46, somewhere in that range. If you don't, you're going to be about a lap or 2 short. Maybe somebody or a few drivers might have been saving some here under this green flag run. Shelton certainly couldn't with being out in front. See how long these drivers can go. Whoa! Bernie Mobbs right in the middle of the track as the leaders encounter. They had to split him off of turn 2. And that nearly just wiped out the entire lead pack. Great heads-up awareness by Shelton and DeSpirito, having to split the 31, everybody else able to avoid as well. That could have been near disaster for drivers that have been running up here inside of the top 10 all night long. Shelton somehow, after all that, still emerges with the lead. That messed up DeSpirito, though, who was 3rd. Got trapped on that inside line. Now he falls back out of the top 5 in a battle for 6th with Tim Nofsker.
Now let's see if Shelton's pit crew can get her on and off the track in first place.
Yeah, Shelton drew the 17th starting position tonight, so she'll have a pit stall right in the middle of pit road.
Only they could actually have a little show where they draw for their starting spots.
A little pre-race show.
Yeah, remember how they used to do that for the shootout?
I do remember that. What did they do? They like got little flags, right? They pulled little flags that had numbers on them?
That had numbers on them, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was hosted by Kenny Wallace.
I mean, who else would you have host? You want the ultimate hype man.
That's true.
Who's more of a hype man, Kenny Wallace or Michael Waltrip?
Oh God, it's no question. It's gonna be Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, I think you're right. I feel like Kenny Wallace.
It's not even a debate.
I feel like Kenny Wallace not only is a better hype man, but he doesn't come off quite as goofy. Like when he's a hype man, he is truly a hype man. For Michael Waltrip, it's more of like a goofy jokester hype man.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So 0 going high.
Yep. Picking up that outside line there. And it's because the leaders are coming in. Shelton, Randy Waugh. Oh, Joe DeSpirito, hang on to it. Whew.
And Randy Waugh was able to get ahead of Jess.
Yeah, Randy Waugh was aggressive the last time on pit road and aggressive this time as well.
But aggressive goes around.
He does. But that's only if it's Brad Keselowski. Surprising there with Randy Waugh being that aggressive on pit road too. Normally you see a driver be that aggressive on entry when they've got a pit stall further down towards the exit. Randy Waugh started in the next to last spot tonight. So he has a very, very early pit stall, which means you got to get that thing woed down super fast to make sure you don't overshoot your pit stop. But so far, he's been able to make it work. It looks like Kelly Causey's coming in. Right now, as things are currently scored, these drivers coming in this time are going to be 2 laps short on fuel. The drivers that pitted just before them are going to be 3 laps short. These drivers here...
I noticed something coming off of pit road just now.
Yep.
Jess had every opportunity to get off of pit road in the first position, but she went up to the high part of pit road and slowed down. I wonder what that was for.
I think I can tell you. I just said it. That group going to be about 2 or 3 laps short. You don't want to be the leader. You want to be saving some fuel to try and get to the end.
Oh, that's a good point.
I think that's exactly what the play is right there for the 9.
And I think Emmanuel realized it too. He's like, no, I don't want to be the leader.
Nobody in that group's going to want to be the leader. Because everybody up there, I'm sure, are short on fuel.
Oh,
these guys here, though, are coming down at the... Oh, no! Brian Ross and Jeremy Jeffries, those are playoff drivers!
They're coming down at the... Oh, no!
Oh, boy. They're going to be able to keep going, but that's going to lose them a ton of track position. I was going to say, this group here coming to pit lane, I think they'd be right on the number to be able to make it the rest of the way.
They just need a caution.
Yeah, they're going to need a caution now, those two anyway, Jeffries and Brian Rawson. And I don't have a clue who the lead is going to cycle around to. Maybe Josh Metallic in the 39? I don't know. We'll keep the camera focused on him right now, but it might be Buddy Baker and Buckshot Jones. Joe DeSpirito, lap car of Greg Palmer, Jessica Shelton there. Going to reel in these drivers. There's Jeffries coming off of pit lane. He'll try and latch onto this lead group after the contact between himself and Rawson. Godfrey and Garrett going to stay low. Knopfsker may end up cycling out as the leader here. We'll see. Nope, Chuck McClure is going to take him low. DeSpirito's going to go high with the momentum. And it will be Joe DeSpirito going to the point. So now it comes down to fuel. Oh, wait, was that the 17 diving onto pit lane right there? I think the 17 of McClure just came down pit road. I didn't have any indication of a speeding penalty for him, but yeah, he just hit pit lane.
Down.
That's another of our playoff drivers. I didn't get anything on scoring about him getting a speeding penalty. Sometimes it doesn't always come through.
22 in this pack is a lap down. I didn't even realize that.
No, Palmer's been a lap down for a good portion of this race. Lost the lead draft on the restart. Got put a lap down. I think it was one of the first cars that got put a lap down. Bobby Farrell took that big shot into the inside wall. That didn't bring out a caution. You see that left side damage still on the Petty Blue 92. And he goes a third lap down there. So now it comes down to who's got the fuel to make it the rest of the way. In looking at it, drivers like Josh Metallic and Kelly Causey, they're about maybe 1 to 2 laps short. Drivers like Joe DeSpirito, Jessica Shelton, Emmanuel Hartnett, Bob Seminara, they're about 2 to 3 laps short on fuel. Now, you can definitely save that much, I do believe, but you can't if you're Joe DeSpirito out in front creating this clean air. So it's going to come down to how much you can save and when you feel go time is. And, of course, as well, if we end up getting a yellow between now and the checkered flag, that just muddies the waters in terms of strategy. Everybody should then be able to make it the rest of the way. They'd be able to save the laps they're lacking under those pacing laps.
watching this go by here, seeing how the 22 is going to be part of this finish if it stays like this.
I'm keeping an eye on that 83 of Emmanuel Hartnett because we've had the opportunity here in the past couple of seasons of drivers making their debuts and being up in the conversation of maybe winning their first race in their first start. If I recall correctly, since we started broadcasting this series here on FRN, the driver that won the soonest in his first career starts was Keith Hughes. That was back number of seasons, back when they were still racing in the trucks, and he won in his second career start. To my knowledge, we've never had a driver win in their first career start, but 83 has been up here at the front for pretty much the entirety of this race. Got a great qualifying draw of third. Right now running in the fourth position, fifth car in line. Might be able to chase a little bit of history here tonight.
Well, we've got about 16 laps to go.
Also, if you're keeping track of the Lucky Dog battle, Greg Palmer up here in the second slot, but first car 1 lap down is in the first free pass position. Here's the second one. Grant Wesley, Donnie Garrett, nose to tail, and John Godfrey right there as well with Jeff Crivello. Those three drivers, nose to tail for the second and final Lucky Dog position if we were to get a yellow. And Josh Metallic, who we talked about at the top of the night, must-win situation, won't be here next week. He's in this lead group. He's got a shot at it. We saw Metallic in practically a must-win situation in the regular season finale, got the victory, garnered enough points to get up into the top 20 in the standings, and clinched himself a playoff spot. Does he have another buzzer beater maybe here tonight at Talladega? I think before that pit stop, our lead pack had 12 lead lap cars. We are now down to 8 lead lap cars, back to Brian Schilling. Jeremy Jeffries, after the contact on pit road between himself and Brian Rawson, he's back here with Randy Waugh in 9th and 10th. Bernie Mobbs, the lap machine with them. Let's see where the rest of our other playoff drivers are currently at. Chuck McClure, after the pass-through penalty, is currently in 15th place. Brian Rawson currently back in 20th position. And then obviously, as we mentioned, Grant Wesley currently a lap down in 22nd place. So with the points as close as they are, I think the scoring would show that Grant Wesley, Brian Rawson, Chuck McClure, and Jeremy Jeffries would be the 4 drivers below the cut line heading into next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway for our final elimination race of the season. We'll then put together the final 4 to compete in the final 2 races.
That's true. Seth, now here's a question. When do we start seeing these drivers start to save? Because even while nose to tail, you're still running almost full throttle.
I think they're saving right now. I mean, we're not seeing drivers throwing in the clutch up here in this lead pack, but I guarantee you kind of see a gap right there between the 9 and the 00. I think these drivers are definitely half throttling on the entry to the corner, playing with the throttle, trying to save her a little bit. Right, you saw right there, the 9 bogged down of Jessica Shelton. That was throwing in the clutch. That's a telltale sign that you're throwing in the clutch, shutting off the engine to save fuel.
Remember that one league race where a lot of us went into turn 3 at Talladega in complete silence?
I do remember that. I was actually a part of a race in Fast, and we were racing, I believe it was at Daytona. There was a pack of 13 or 14 of us, and to your point there, we went into the corner, everyone shut off the engine. It is the quietest turn 1 at Daytona I had ever heard in my life. And we all made it on fuel in that race, by the way, too. It was a really good battle, really good fuel strategy race, but it was kind of surreal.
Fuel strategy and fuel?
Everybody was checking to make sure that they hadn't muted their speakers or something.
I could see that. Wow, man, that was quiet going up in that corner. Come on, my audio okay?
And the crowd goes mild.
And the crowd goes silent. When my engine goes off, your mouth goes...
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes yeet.
When my hand goes up, your engine goes off.
We got David
God.
Cannon in our chat here. Hey, David. Coming to 10 laps to go. Now, I am a little curious about the strategy of the 24 because
He's probably just really hoping for a caution at
I
this
think
point.
probably, right? Like, he's no longer in the playoffs. He got eliminated last week. He's kind of in a go for broke situation here. He came to pit road the same lap as Jessica Shelton, Bob Seminara, Emmanuel Hartnett, and projected they are short on fuel. There's no way Despirito is saving fuel out in front. He's going to be about a lap or two short of the finish, so I think you're right. I think you might have hit the nail right on the head. He's hoping that a yellow flag comes out so he can keep that track position, save the fuel he's lacking under caution. But right now, the field's so spread out, and we've had a couple of incidents that kind of tease the potentiality of a caution, and it never happens. So I don't know if we're going to get it or not.
I don't know.
You saw right there, Shelton again, throwing in the clutch. Whenever you see a car bogged down into the racetrack, folks, that's not a glitch. That's not an internet problem.
31 coming to pit road.
Well, we know that Bernie Mobbs can't make it. Mobbs, Denny Carroll, Doug Hewlick, Jeff Crivello, drivers that were on that alternate strategy, they are going to have to pit. They're going to be like 7 laps short.
Oh, Seth, this is going to be interesting.
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a nail biter, and especially going to be interesting if we get to the point of no return. Like, do you just kind of still keep it neat and orderly until you get to the white flag and then race it up? Do you start racing it up once we cross the threshold, which is going to be, I think, completion of lap 61, since we do have multiple cars a lap down? I guess it all depends on just how short you are on fuel. If you're right on the number, I think maybe you wait until the last lap. But if you are saving enough to be 1 lap to the good, maybe you go a little bit earlier just in case that yellow does fly.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
And then, of course, the question is, ooh, whoa, Emmanuel Hartnett pulling way low there. And it looks like he's going to the back of the pack here.
I was going to say, maybe he's running out of gas.
Is he running out of fuel?
Oh,
no. He's under power. I think he was just hardcore saving maybe down the back straightaway, and that's going to cost him. I don't think he's going to stay up with this pack.
It's not under. It's the song. It's not under pressure. It's under power.
Under power. That might have just cost him an opportunity at a finish inside of the top 5. He's going to drop back to 8th position at least, and maybe get reeled in by Jeremy Jeffries and company.
7 or 6.5 laps to go.
Look at this formation at the back here. Tim Nofsker, Josh Metallic. I think they're trying to let the 39 by. I think this is by design. Of course, Metallic in a must-win situation, so get him as the lead car, and then where he goes, Nofsker and Schilling will follow. There's Crivello coming to pit road. He was one of the drivers we knew couldn't make it. Let's keep an eye on this 39 machine because they're going to try and generate a run. Brian Schilling pushed Chuck McClure to a victory last week. Metallic going to go around John Godfrey. Maybe Godfrey going to join that group to try and help push the 39 car. As Despirito continues to lead. Next time by, it's the point of no return. We'll give you the usual disclaimer. If a caution comes out, we'll stay up here in the battle for the lead. Back to the caution. We'll go back and look at any necessary replays, either during the pacing laps leading up to the checkers or post-race.
Look who's helping to lead that 39 car.
That's going to be Grant Wesley in the 88, who is also looking for his first win of the season.
Lap car. He's a lap car, though.
Oh, good call. Yep.
Just really backing out now.
Grant to the bottom of the racetrack here. Metallic going to follow in line. Only those two right now, though. No help out back. About a car length to John Godfrey. Nofsker and Schilling way back there. And now everybody moves down to the bottom, not leaving the inside line available. If you're going to go around, you're going to have to take the longer way around the racetrack, and that is where Grant and Josh are going to go. I think it's safe to say the 88, the 39 are no longer in fuel save mode. We got a couple of more drivers diving to pit lane. I think that was Brian Lovell in the 043, Cy Jones in the 7. Drivers who know they cannot make it, hitting pit road for the final time. Who up here in this lead pack is going to be able to get to the checkers is the question. If anybody, maybe none of them can.
Maybe they just all run out of gas.
Maybe they do. I mean, we ended up seeing, I don't know if you remember the race. It was here at Talladega. It was Terry Bombard and JT Mayhew trying to make it on fuel. JT ran out of fuel in the back straightaway. Terry ran out of fuel in turn 3. Neither one were able to pick up the victory. We might be in for that kind of a finish here in this one, as I think the 24 might be coming to pit road, and he is.
All coming.
Shelton's coming in too. She couldn't make it. Seminara's in. Shelton's in the grass. Oh, and she's going to loop it around. Contact from Greg Palmer.
Now, to the lead.
Now the lead's going to go to the 39. Can he make it the rest of the way? It's Metallic, Causey, Novsker, Schilling. They are the lead lap cars in this pack right now.
He's got lap cars all around him in that 39 car.
2.5 laps they're going to have to make. I don't know if they're going to be able to. Oh, man.
Did Metallic pit with the rest of them?
He pitted, I think, before they did. I'm pretty sure Metallic came to pit road before Shelton, DeSpirito, and Seminara did on the last cycle.
And Grant can't make it.
Nope. So he's on pit lane. Now Metallic is the lead car, so he's going to start using up fuel. Does he maybe let the 711 on by? The 711 is a lap machine. The next closest position car is the 00 of Causey there. I think Josh is committed, right? A must-win situation. He's not here next week. He's not coming to pit road. He's running out of fuel if it comes down to it. He's basically committed himself at this point in time.
Running about 194, so maybe not exactly full because we've seen these cars be able to run 200.
I have never kept an eye on somebody's temperature as much as I have now, and Metallic can't make it. Lead now goes to Kelly Causey. Nose to tail, 1, 2, 3. Causey, Novsker, Schilling, white flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Dega.
If I was Metallic, I really would have tried it. I would have stayed out. I would have ran it dry.
Can any of these three make it back?
189,
88. Causey's out of fuel. Causey is out of fuel. Speed decreasing on the back straightaway. Novsker now with the lead. Brian Schilling behind him. Novsker holding 193, 194, still under power out of turn 4. He's got a whole tri-oval to go, though. I think he's going to make it. I think both of them could coast from here. Tim Novsker is going to pick up his second win on the season. He'll advance into the Final Four. Schilling pushes him across the line. Schilling's out of fuel. Schilling just barely made it to the stripe. And Tim Novsker is going to advance into the championship 4 with the victory here tonight. Who even gets third? Causey's trying to get to the line. It's a long ways back before you get to Josh Metallic, I think, who's... Oh, we got a caution out here. Doesn't matter. Oh, can Causey get the final podium spot? No, I don't think he did. I think Shelton might have gotten it.
Nope, Metallic did.
No, it was Metallic. You're right. Metallic's going to get the third spot. DeSpirito got 4th. Causey crossed the line in 5th. What a finish.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Wow.
And this race took almost an hour. A little over an hour.
Novsker somehow had enough fuel to get back around here to the start-finish line, maybe. Does he have enough to do a burnout? He's in neutral. He's trying to save. The Holly Farm 088 now joins Brian Rawson as a multi-time winner on the season. He'll go into Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week, locked into the Final Four to compete for the championship. He won the first race of the playoffs 2 weeks ago right here at this very venue, and now he wins the third playoff race, as there you go, he did have enough reserved in the tank for some victory celebration here on the front straightaway. And I think that was it. I think he just ran out of fuel. He had just enough.
Just enough.
Just
Sometimes that's
enough.
all it takes.
Wow, what a race here tonight for our third playoff race of the season, our first race of the round of 8. Take a look at the finishing results here. Only 10 drivers finished on the lead lap with everything that went down in the closing stages. Brian Schilling and Tim Knopfsker were the only two that made it on fuel. Metallic had to pit late. He still gets a top 3 finish. Unfortunately, that won't be enough for him to advance to the Final Four, with him not being in next week's race. Joe DeSpirito, Kelly Causey will finish in 4th and 5th. Actually, correction on my previous statement. Causey actually made it without coming to pit road as well. Bob Seminara will get 6th. Emmanuel Hartnett in his first start. Great job in 7th. How about Brian Rawson? After the troubles he and Jeremy Jeffries had on pit road, the two of them come back for 8th and 10th positions. Chuck McClure, who got the speeding penalty, is going to finish 9th. So those 3 drivers who looked like they could have possibly been in trouble heading into next week, I think they're going to find themselves, if not above the cut line, right around that cut line. So that worked out for them. Graham McDonald's going to finish in 11th, John Godfrey in 12th, 13th for Donnie Garrett, 14th Ron Hagelin, and 15th will be Glenn Harris. Denny Carroll will finish in 16th. Jessica Shelton will finish in 17th place after she spent a good portion of this race out in front, so she'll be one of the playoff drivers below the cut line. Randy Waugh, 18th. Greg Palmer and Brian Lovell, the top 20. Grant Wesley, 21st place after a tough night for the 3-time champion. He will certainly be below the cut line as well heading into next week. Bob Dixon, Cy Jones, Jeff Crivello, Mark Paglia were the top 25, and the last drivers to finish 1 lap down. The rest of these drivers finished 2 or more laps down. Doug Kulik, Greg Lovell, Bernie Mobbs, Mike Mangialardi, Bobby Farrell, and Terry Bombard was the only driver to finish out of the race. A lot of these drivers finishing off the lead lap due to a combination of things: the green flag, pit stops, penalties, incidents that didn't bring out a caution flag, and then, of course, drivers running out of fuel in the closing stages of this race. As we head into our FRN post-race wind down, let's see
You've
if we
got
can.
questions, Seth?
All right, let's see if we can dial up the top 3 finishers here tonight. Let's kick things off with the driver that brings it home in P3. Let's see if we can get a hold of Josh Metallic.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Josh,
channel.
Seth and Michael up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I do.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. We were up here. I think our calculators are broken. We were working them so hard, trying to figure out the fuel numbers for you guys. We knew it was going to be close. We talked about your situation coming in tonight. Must win to advance into the Final Four. Michael said that if he was in your position, he would have run the thing dry. Did you have that as an option, or was there just no way that thing was going to get back around what you had left in the tank?
I wasn't going to win, and that was the only option. It was going to run out shortly after crossing the start-finish line. I guess I could have stayed out and hoped that you get one of those yellows where you're 100 feet from the line. So I could have done that. Maybe should have done that, really, just to have a chance. But with it staying green, I was going to run out. I wasn't going to make it. I was trying to get guys to go too wide, not to cause a wreck, but when everyone's riding around saving fuel, there's less chance of a caution. So I'm like, hey, let's mix it up. Because I knew I was going to be short. Like, if there's a yellow with 2 or 3 to go, I'm golden. But yeah, I coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we obviously knew with the timing of going back green, we know that usually if we run a race completely green flag from start to finish, you guys make that final pit stop somewhere around 6, 7 laps left to go, and we went back green on lap 7. So we knew that the numbers were kind of right on par where you guys would be able to make it the rest of the way on 2 more pit stops, but it would be super, super close. The next to last pit stop, Did you know at that point in time how crucial a fuel situation you guys were in? When did the fuel strategy saving begin at that point in time?
Yeah, we all did. That's why I wouldn't call it a boring race, but there wasn't a lot of action on track because everyone saw I was 3 laps short when I came out with, I think I came out of the pits like 43 to go, and I could get maybe 40 laps. So I was able to save 2 laps over the next 2 runs, but you run 80% throttle, you clutch it, and that's like 2 seconds, a tenth of a second. You just can't do much clutching. So you're kind of feathering the throttle. But yeah, I saved a lap, maybe two. I don't know what it was, but yeah, with 40 something to go, I was like, okay, we're spread out now. I'm short. I'm going to have to pit an extra time unless we get a yellow. So everyone knew that, and they all went single file, and they were all saving. So I hate when racing goes like that, but it's the way the yellows fall. So it kind of set it up for that.
I want to touch on the point you made there about the possibility of a yellow because, I talk about it all the time. We've got all the stats in front of us and everything. We see everything from a third party point of view. We don't have the pressure of racing double wide and three wide in the pack, having to think about everything else. The possibility of a yellow flag coming out, giving you the amount of fuel you need under pacing to get the rest of the way. We saw you make that charge there with Grant Wesley around 3-4 to go. How much more difficult was this race as opposed to other races where you know you're good on fuel, but you're trying to time the possibility if a caution comes out to position yourself to be the first one back to the start finish line? Throw into the fact now you're not certain if you're going to be able to make it back to the checkers on what you've got for fuel for the remainder of the run.
Yeah, it was really, the strategy was the opposite. A lot of times when you're good on fuel, you want to wait until the last possible moment to make a move. And that way, if people don't go with you, you minimize how many spots you lose. But in this instance, I absolutely knew I wasn't going to make it. There was no way. So my only option was to get people racing, or at least try to get them 2 wide, 3 wide. And not that you're hoping anyone gets wrecked, but that's the only thing that would have saved me was a caution. So when we're all running around clutching 80% throttle, no one's wrecking. So you try to mix it up and hope something happens. But yeah, the strategy is really the opposite. Mix it up as much as you can versus wait till the last minute.
Well, he gave it a heck of a try here tonight. Led 12 laps, up there in the top 5 for almost the entirety of the evening. Almost able to pull off that must-win situation here this evening. A great podium run for you nonetheless, though. Before I let you go, Josh, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Appreciate it. Want to give a quick shout out to Wiley once again. Hopefully he's watching. Team Thursday Night Admins took 2 of the top 3 spots. So while he gets back, we'll try that next week to sweep the podium. But hope he's back here soon. Thanks to Tim. I think Schilling will be helping. A lot of the other admins will be helping. Group effort next week. The drivers, like I said, we were missing several guys this week. We're still over 30 drivers. So I know this race was not super exciting from at least my standpoint. There's a lot of fuel saved, but 99 out of 100, it's a hell of a good race. So appreciate all the drivers and Bones and Prime for all they do, and obviously you and Michael again, of course.
Well, Josh Metallic, he's your third place finisher here tonight in the first playoff race of the round of 8. Unfortunately, we don't get to see you next week, but enjoy your vacation, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you then.
Metallic
User
bringing it
was
home
moved
in the
out of your
third
channel.
position. We know that next week he'll more than likely be one of the drivers eliminated mathematically from the Final Four. One driver that tonight may potentially have locked himself into the Final Four if he can follow up tonight's run with a great run next week is your runner-up finisher. Let's see if we can dial up Brian Schilling.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Brian,
your
Michael and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's going on?
I'll tell you what, nail biter up here for us. We weren't exactly certain what the number was for you guys on fuel. Obviously, you guys have the numbers in front of you during the course of that green flag run, but one of, I think, 3 drivers that made it back across the start-finish line and what you had in the tank. Everybody else had to dive onto pit road for a splash. Now, coming out of turn 4 there, Looked like you were committed behind the 088, but then we saw you run out of fuel right across the start-finish line. Was that your only hope, just stay in this draft to be able to make it back to the line under power?
Yeah, pretty much. I knew I was best case scenario finishing second. I had nothing for him. It was switching in the middle of 3 and 4, and it's like I'll have enough to make it to the end. I just won't have any power to challenge him.
Now, we obviously had an early yellow flag, had some mixture of strategies. Drivers stay out. Some drivers came to pit road on the first lap. We saw had some other drivers come to pit road around the 1 to green mark. And then we ended up going to the long green flag run with 2 green flag pit stops. At what point in this race did you suddenly look and think, wow, this is actually maybe going to be coming down to the wire in terms of fuel for the conclusion of this one?
I mean, what was that last week's race? I think we ran yellow free. So, usual. You get later in the season, things tend to settle down a little bit more. So we hit that 1 to go, 1 to green, and I go to Tim. My mind was set the minute yellow came out when I was looking at how many laps are left. I'm like, I told Tim, I'm pitting with 1 to green. That's it. I'm going in. And, I knew it would be tough, but we'd be able to save enough to, make it a 2-stop from there.
Now, obviously, momentum has been huge for this number 4 car. This is putting me in mind of the consistency we saw in the playoffs a couple seasons ago with Richard Martin, who went on to win the championship. We know you had that early victory during the regular season, but here during the playoffs, I mean, this is back-to-back runner-up finishes for this 4 car last week and this week. Great points heading into next week, another elimination race for the Final Four. I mean, is it starting to build the confidence of, hey, we've definitely got a shot at this championship here?
Oh, for sure. But I mean, even all the momentum in the world, one bad thing has to happen and it just can derail you. It's a matter of, bouncing back like, Chuck tonight. Chuck and Jeremy and Ross, and they all had issues with pit road at the end there. And they, just stuck it out, stayed on their strategy, and they all got a top 10 out of it.
You talked about the fact that last week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, we had a completely caution-free race, only 1 caution tonight, so maybe have to start preparing for maybe a caution-free race or a low caution count in next week's elimination race as well. But a great start here to this round of 8 for you, Brian, bringing it home in the runner-up position, being able to just butter it across the line there and what you had left in the tank. We'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yes, congrats to Timmy, another win. Hopefully, maybe next week it'll be opposite, be me in front of him. But thanks Chuck, Mark Paglia, Brian Rawson worked with me a good chunk of the night too, so appreciate that. Thank you, Josh, Tim, Wiley. Hopefully, you're feeling better soon. Miss you. Not having you here. Bones, Prime, everybody else here. Rodney, we miss you, buddy. Hope to see you soon. Everybody else, and thank you for putting this on. It's always fun to go back and watch.
Well, Brian Schilling, a great start to this round of 8. Second place here tonight at Talladega. He'll look to build off that to lock himself into the Final Four to compete for the championship in a couple weeks' time. The road continues next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Best of luck there, Brian. Congrats on the great run here this evening.
Thank you.
Let's go down to Victory Lane and see if we can dial up 2-time winner, Tim Nofsker.
User was moved.
Hey, Tim, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I'm good, guys. I got you.
I'll tell you what, I think you got the biggest gas tank in Talladega. You were the only one that was under power after everyone crossed the start-finish line, at least of the drivers that didn't come to pit road in the final stages of this race. We talked with you a couple of weeks ago prior to the 4th of July off week, winning the first playoff race to lock yourself into this round. You're going Final Four racing, buddy, to battle for the championship. Did you think it was going to happen in this type of a finish?
I did not. I have a hard time committing to fuel strategies, fuel mileage races, and the decision was made so early I literally gave up second place to come and top off with 60 to go, and was able to save. It was a full race of saving.
Yeah, we caught that on our broadcast of you diving to pit road from that good starting track position. It's amazing how sometimes something like that, we don't think about it at the time that it could be a game changer, and then at the end of the night, you're sitting in victory lane. So now, I mean, you're locked into the Final Four. We got another race still to run here in this round. What's the goal for next week? Because you can kind of put your feet up. You know you're going playoff racing. However, Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, after we visit it next week, in 2 weeks' time, we're back there with the championship on the line. So do we kind of go to school, do a little bit of experimentation? What are we thinking for next week?
I think I've turned enough laps at BSR to know the ins and outs there. So I think my main focus will be try to help those who have helped me throughout the season. It's always good to pay back a favor. You never know when you might need one. So I think my main focus is just try to help those who have helped me, and see what we can do once we hit that Final Four.
Well, Tim, you were one of the number of drivers that pointed your way into the playoffs, and now, after the playoffs begin, you're now tied for most wins on the season, a two-time winner, both races at Talladega, you taking the checkered flag. So with that being said, I mean, what's the confidence level when we come back here to Talladega in 2 weeks' time? An opportunity to maybe get another win, get those max points, and put the pressure on whoever the eventual other three competitors will be against you for the championship.
Well, it's good to peak at the right time, and I guess during the playoffs isn't a bad time to peak. So I think basically when you get to that round of Final Four, and it's a two-race effort now, so I think the main goal will be just don't take yourself out of it in that first race. Try to maximize points while doing it as risk-free as possible.
Well, for sure, the best time to peak during the playoffs. And Tim, in these first three playoff races, 2 trips to victory lane, and we know officially you're going to be the first driver in that Final Four to compete for the championship. Congratulations, job well done. Great job on saving the fuel to get to the start-finish line first here tonight in a thriller at Talladega. Before we let you go and get back to your celebrating, though, the floor is yours for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
All right, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Rolling Thunder Gaming for putting out a fantastic platform for everyone to race. Dave Cannon, Sean Prime, Jason Scheck. And then I'd also like to thank Josh and wish Wiley well. He's having some health issues, so I know we were all thinking about him tonight. Hopefully he can get back soon. I've got to throw a shout out to my drafting buddies, Chuck, Brian, and Mark. We're kind of not really teammates, but unofficially helpers of each other. So we try to find each other whenever possible. So it works out. And I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting as always. It's always a great show when I go watch it back. And I think I also would like to wish my wife happy birthday. It's her birthday today, and we got to celebrate a little bit earlier, and she's gracious enough to step aside and let me do a little racing on championship night. So that's it.
Well, after a crazy fuel strategy finish here tonight, Tim Nofsker knows he'll be going championship racing in a couple of weeks' time, as he's your winner here tonight in playoff race number 3 in the round of 8 in the Talladega Challenge Series. Congratulations on the dub. Well done there, Tim. Best of luck next week and trying to build some momentum in battling in that championship 4, and enjoy this victory here tonight at Talladega.
Thank you so much.
Second win on the season for Tim Nofsker. And Michael, the points are in. And let me tell you what, we got a very interesting battle scheduled for next week, because Nofsker, we know he's locked in. The question is, who are the other 3 drivers going to be? We'll find out at the conclusion of next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, but this is how it looks. Brian Schilling with the runner-up finish. He currently is the highest in the point standings, not yet locked in. Josh Metallic, we know, is in the situation where he will more than likely fall below the cut line, but as the points stand right now, he is 1 point above the cut line, which currently is Chuck McClure. 1 point back below the cut line is Brian Rawson. And then Jeremy Jeffries, Grant Wesley, and Jessica Shelton. I have a feeling if Rawson can get a good run next week, I feel like it might come down between Wesley, Shelton, and Jeremy Jeffries for that final and fourth transfer spot. And they currently sit 8, 9, and 10 points below the cut line. 3 points separating those three drivers. All three of them with some struggles tonight. Shelton with a pit road issue. Same for Jeremy Jeffries. He was able to come back for a top 10. Grant Wesley, obviously, a couple of things here tonight. If you're any of those three drivers below the cut line, but still mathematically could point your way in, especially with the uncertainty of the Josh Metallic situation, how in the world are you approaching next week's elimination race?
I don't even know. To be completely honest with you, I wouldn't even know, because it would be more along the lines of just hoping and praying that you're in the right spot.
It was interesting. We were talking with Tim. He talked about back during the 1 to green of the only caution we had tonight, right at the very beginning of this race, in the first 10 laps of this race, gave up second to come to pit road. We've set a trend as of right now here in the playoffs. Last week, completely green flag. Tonight, only 1 yellow at the early going, and then it came down to fuel strategy at the end. We're going back to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Do you think a lot of these playoff drivers are going to be in the mentality of at least initially preparing for a green flag race?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it now, because it happened twice, and it's going to be interesting to see if these guys can strategize for a green flag race like this.
Absolutely. Well, we know Tim Nofsker's going racing for the championship in a couple of weeks' time. The question is, who will be the three that will join him? Will it be one driver winning in and 2 pointing in, or will it be 3 drivers pointing their way in to join Tim Nofsker? Also, we know Denny Carroll won the bracket challenge tonight against Grant Wesley, so he'll be moving on to face Bob Seminara next week. We'll keep tabs on that when we head to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But a thriller here tonight. It's been a while since we've had a fuel strategy race in the closing stages since last season, and thank you all for joining us here tonight for our coverage of it. Again, next Thursday night, we set the Final Four at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, join us here next time we come live to you at Saturday night. I'm not 100% certain on what the start time is, because it is going to be a at least 4-hour-long broadcast. It is the first of 8 Talladega Nights mega team events. We've got 8 heat races, 5% in lap length, and then a main event at Talladega Super Speedway. Completely team-oriented, 8 different teams going up against each other in head-to-head battles. It's going to be a lot of fun to keep track of and try to cover. I'm going to leave the points up to the admins. I'm not going to do the calculations myself, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you join us for that on Saturday night, and then we'll see you back here for Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series on next Thursday evening. But Michael, these playoffs are very unpredictable. Tonight was yet another chapter in just throwing us for a swerve. Appreciate you joining me up in the booth. Can't wait for next week.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Once again, thanks to everybody for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week as the playoffs continue for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series here on FRN.
Seth Norman and Michael Cole.
One makes sense, the other doesn't. But thanks for joining us here on FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoy